I guess I can call the meeting to order at, what do we got, 7:06?
Two.
Sam, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name's Sam Hagenberry. I moved to Wakefield in October of 22. So I've been here for a little over a year. And I had applied to join capital planning last spring and was appointed. So we're coming into my first budget cycle with Wakefield. Prior to being here, my hometown of Hopedale, I was the FinCom committee chair for a couple of years. And then went to graduate school for a master's in public policy and administration. And then coming out of school, got a job with the town of Burlington, which is why I've moved up here to Wakefield. So I work for the town in the budget and procurement office for Burlington. So anyway, I have a bunch of different experiences, and I thought I would help bring that to bear with a committee in Wakefield and slowly acclimate to what's going on here. So I thought this would be a good community start.
Great. Well, thank you for joining. Yeah, we're not going to be as a little looser than FinCom if you were on for that, for that your town. We're a little looser than that, and we deal with some big items, but definitely not as intense as the financial committee. So we got Dan Corey. He's been on the committee for a while, along with myself, Frank Leone. We've been on. Dan, how long you been on now? Over 12 years now?
I think it's, well, maybe a little less than that, but not much. I just re-upped, so I'm on the next 3-year cycle. Maybe it is 12 years already. Time flies.
Need a members only jacket.
Yeah, geez.
And Phil Renzi's been on the committee for, let me see, Phil, what, 7 years now, 8 years?
16. I got appointed.
And there we go. That's off the top of my head. And then we have, who did I miss? Oh, Frank. Frank, you've been on this your second or third year, Frank Conti?
This is my last year, my first term, and I just reapplied. So,
Okay. So this is your third year. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then we have Tracy, who's not on right now. I didn't hear that she wasn't going to be on. So we have the 5 of us, and then Tracy would make 6. And do you know Joe Conway, the DPW director? He'll be in on all our meetings.
I'm your basically your scribe. Any questions that the group has, I try to get the information for you as fast as I can before you next sit down.
So obviously, as in my first email, this is kind of an intro meeting like we do every year to establish our dates for 5, 6, 7 meetings coming up in March and April before we have to go before the FinCom and the town council for approval. And also tonight, Joe will review and let us know what's been purchased and what hasn't been purchased yet from last year's plan. And we also, Joe thought it'd be a good idea to sneak in the police chief's request, since it's usually pretty simple. We might as well get those out of the way. He's not going to join us, or he is going to join us?
Nope, he's with us.
Oh, he is. Hi, Chief. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Frank?
Good. Sorry, I for some reason I wasn't thinking. Unless anyone has any objections, let's go right to Chief Corey and just so you can get yours out of the way for us. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for having me. Every year I make a request for 3 cruisers, and if we get the 3 cruisers, the 3 new cars every year, keeps our fleet nice and healthy. We don't run into a situation where we have a broken down, useless car sitting in the garage. We've been fortunate since I took over as chief in 2019 that the Capital Committee has granted us those 3 new cars every year. So overall, our fleet's in pretty good condition, but I'd like to continue with requesting 3 cars for next year. So in my request that I sent to Joe last month, one of the things that I had asked for was 2 gas-powered vehicles and 1 electric car. So at this point, I'm going to try and dabble into the electric car market a little bit. I was hesitant to do it in the last few years because none of the manufacturers had really come out with a car that was standing up to the tests of police work. Some departments had tried Ford Mustangs, they tried some Teslas, they tried the Ford Lightning pickup truck, and they really weren't holding up to the test of time. But next year, Chevy's coming out with a police package Chevy Blazer, so I'd like to try one of those. It's just a little more pricey than a gas-powered vehicle. In my request letter to Joe, I had requested $244,700, which was a significant jump from last year, and mostly it was because of the price of the electric car. But I started poking around at the 3 cars that I'd like to trade in, and I think there's some equipment that I can recycle to the 3 new cars. So I'm actually going to request a reduction in my original request. I'd like to reduce that down to $220,000. So I'm going to reduce my ask from $244,700 down to $220,000. And if I can get those 3 new cars, like I said, it keeps the fleet moving, keeps it healthy. Every once in a while, it's quite frequent, we'll have 2 cars down at the same time, whether they're at the body shop. They're like magnets, people like to hit them, or we have mechanical repairs going on. So it's always good to have a few extra cars and keep the fleet healthy.
Are you sure you're gonna be able to get the trade-in value for those other items that you're gonna be able to reduce it for the 24,000?
Say that again, Frank?
The 20, you'll be able to reduce it to 24,000 with the trade-in? Was that your plan?
Yeah, I think I can swing it. I think that a lot of the emergency equipment's going to be recyclable. A lot of times it isn't. A lot of it gets outdated. It's computerized stuff now. Everything that goes in these cars is computerized. It's just like buying a computer for your home. In 2 or 3 years, it's obsolete. So we usually have to replace everything. But I took a look at the stuff that's in the cars I want to get rid of, and I think I can reuse some of it.
It'll be up to date. It'll be up to date enough, the equipment in the cars to reuse?
It will. And the other part of it is the way the car market's gone just in the last couple of years, I've been able to do a little bit better on trade-ins than we did in the past. In the past, I mean, these cars, when we get rid of them, they're junk, to be honest with you. You know, they've been beat on. They have a lot of miles, they have a lot of engine hours. Most of them have been repaired mechanically many times, and a lot of them, like I said, they get hit all the time. So some of these cars have been scrapped by insurance companies a couple times, but still been fixed, and we've still been using them. So we usually didn't get a lot, but where the used car market is now, we tend to do a little bit better. So I think I'll be okay at 220.
Okay.
So Chief, this is Dan Calori. The 220 that you're asking for, or the 244 before that, would have been a net figure after you've remove the trade-in value of the ones you're getting rid of? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's really a guessing game, Dan,
Yeah.
because you don't really know
Ahead
what
of
you're going to
time.
get for the cars.
Yeah,
And that overall figure, that covers the cost of the vehicle, the cost of the emergency equipment, having the emergency equipment installed. We have to get the old equipment stripped out of the old cars before we can get rid of those. So
Sure.
there's a cost that goes with that. The radios have to be replaced because they're usually 5 or 6 years old when we get rid of these cars. And the radios are just like computers. They're outdated by the time we get rid of them. There's a cost to having the cars marked up. Usually the laptops in the cars have to be replaced because they're 5 or 6 years old. So there's a lot of cost that's associated with the car. The guessing game is really in the trade-in, but I think I can do, I think I can swing it with 220. I knew 244.7 was a big ask, and I just don't want to get clipped on 3 cars because I asked for too much money.
Are you including the EV in the 220?
Yes, I am.
And which brand do you what are you looking at? Which manufacturer?
It's a Chevy Blazer. If you go on YouTube, there's a YouTube video for the police package Chevy Blazer electric vehicle. It's about a 12-minute video, and it'll show you everything you need to know about the car. It's made specifically for police work. It looks to be a pretty solid car. One of the problems we've had with cars in the last 5 years has been catalytic converters, water pumps, anything associated with a gas engine, basically. And these electric cars don't have any of that. So I'd like to at least try one, see what kind of mechanical issues we run into or don't run into, and see how they hold up with the weather. I know that it could be an issue with the battery powered car in the cold, but I'd like to at least test the waters with one.
Where would the electric charger be?
We have one electric charger at the back of the station for the parking control vehicle, but I'd also like to put another one in the parking garage that we use underneath the station.
And are you requesting money for that?
Those are fairly cheap now. I think I could swing that with out of my budget.
Okay.
My question is, instead of a wholesale jump onto an electric vehicle, have you played with hybrids? Like, is that like a better half measure to try to test how some of this stuff works? What's
The only manufacturer that was making hybrids was Ford, and
Mhm.
Ford stopped making hybrids this year.
Okay.
Do we
The
know,
auto industry was,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Are you bound to buy an American-made vehicle?
We buy off of state bid contracts. So we buy off the Plymouth County contract, and that covers Toyota, Chevy, Dodge, Ford, and there's one other. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I
But
think it's Nissan.
we buy vehicles that are police tested, and the vehicles that are approved, they're called PPVs, patrol vehicles, and they're tested by the Michigan State Police.
how much did you say the patrol cars cost last year? We approved 3. How much was the actual spend on that?
So we still haven't finished them yet. This is the tricky part that I wanted to explain about fleet vehicles. Pre-COVID, if we wanted to buy 3 cars, I could call up Dodge or Ford or Chevy at any time and say, listen, I want to buy 3 of these vehicles. They put the order in, and in about 3 or 4 months, we'd see the cars. The way it works now is they have order windows, and we have to place that order within that window. So we received our new cars in July of 23. Here's the other tricky part. The equipment that goes in them is supply chain issues now. So these cars that we got in July are just being outfitted now because the emergency equipment just came in. So I haven't got the total billing price on each car yet, but the vehicles themselves after trade-ins are about 36. To upfit it's another 25. So you're talking 61. Each radio is close to $4,000. Each laptop is $5,000. So last year's 212, that's going to be tight right there.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Yeah.
right at
I think
that.
it'll be right there.
Yeah,
Bill.
I worry about 2 things about the Chevy Blazer EV. So a little research is something about their parts that's not making it eligible this year for the tax credit EV. That you can get like a pretty good tax credit, but they're supposed to be reinitiating. But it sounds like with the way they're ordering, it's not going to be an issue because they're changing something. I worry it's not enough money to go down to 220, Chief. I worry that like the base, like if I go put it in, buy a Blazer, like they're starting at like 60 grand. So I worry if 220 is going to be enough to add in the electric here, and if we should keep your original request, but maybe keep a side note until we get through our deliberations and know if maybe we need to cut, that it's an option. But just because it's so early on, I'm offering it. If you were the last speaker, Chief, we'd be accepting any amount of dollar you probably want to give us. But I almost wonder if maybe we keep it at original ask with like an asterisk for us just to consider, if we don't have the money for it, that maybe we could cut some.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want to walk in here asking for 244.7 and you tell me it's too much and I can't dabble with that electric car. I wanted to sell it a little better, I guess.
Yeah,
That's the way to put it.
wish they
So-
all thought that way.
Yeah. So it's about 30,000 to outfit a car, basically,
Close to
somewhere
it.
in there.
It's
That's
close to
crazy.
it. All
Yeah.
all that stuff is like I said, it's all computerized now.
Yeah.
How much is it again?
It's
About
about
30,
yeah.
somewhere in
Well,
there.
that's just 30 for the computer and the lights.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
There's a lot
Thank
of
you.
there's a lot of silly science that goes into it. Well, it's really not silly, but they have just as an example, the sensors in the light bars so that they're dimmer at night, but brighter during the day. When the cars pull up to, if you have two cruisers next to each other with the lights on, the lights sync with each other. And the reason behind that is there were all these studies on people hitting police cars that had their lights on. So as a result of those studies, they came up with these little ideas on how they could try and reduce the mothball effect, they called it, people hitting cars. So hence everything became computerized.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the vehicles request?
I'm all set.
And, yeah, Sam, just, we, you know, it's not done here. We can bring this back up and talk about these cars in a month. It's, you know, and if we have a question for the chief, Joe can always reach out and, ask him if we need a follow-up, so. Can I ask you one thing, chief? Did, the passenger van, you got that all in the garage? Everything fits now inside the garage? Is that all
Oh,
good?
yeah, the van came out awesome. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but it really came out great. And it's, what's really good about it is we got a video and audio system put in it. So everything in the van's recorded now, which is great. With the addition to the Sally port, the van fits in there perfect. So really it all worked out well.
All right, great. Bill, was that a big issue with the, building committee with the, making the garage longer?
Well, it was probably a couple change orders. No, that was one of the main goals of that project was to extend the Sally port. So I'm glad that got, finished, but yeah, easy peasy, everyone would say at this point.
Yeah, afterwards, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else for the chief?
That's all you're requesting of 3 vehicles.
That's it. Just give you a heads up on next year. I'll be in looking for, we're gonna have to replace our firearms next year, our handguns, so that'll be next year.
I think this is the first year in a long time we didn't have to deal with the prisoner van. So
And I thank you for that.
glad to see that gone.
I think we kicked it for 7 years, I think. That was on when I started.
Oh, yeah.
What's the life cycle in firearms? Just curious.
10 years.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
All right, thanks,
you.
chief.
All good? No more questions?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Take care. Any comments on, the request from the chief?
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I think Sam's suggestion on the hybrid is a good idea, but Mr. Scurry said that it's not possible because there's nobody manufacturing them. But I think that we should transition in that manner instead of going straight into EVs. I know there are a lot of people pushing for it, but you have to tread carefully because I'd also like to learn more from the experience of other towns, cities and towns that have them. So I think that's something we ought to look at.
I think he said no other manufacturers are making the hybrids though, Frank. So I don't think
I said that.
hybrids not right. So it's not an option, is what he
Right,
said.
it's not, that would be the ideal because
Right.
I'm not into jumping into this stuff without having enough data from previous experience.
Yeah,
So
the Blazer's only been out a couple years. I think this is going to be the second run of it, but in the police cruise, the pursuit package or whatever they call it. So I don't know. You might be hard pressed. You don't know how we would find out what communities bought one.
I'm
to be
talking
able
about
to ask them.
EVs in general.
Right, like if you wanted to find out like another community that bought a Chevy Blazer EV police vehicle and ask them how it's going, which is what I thought you were asking. Like, I don't know how we would find that community. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, how do you know who buys what?
Well,
And-
he did talk about the co-op, the Plymouth County Cooperative that they use to buy cars.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they might know something, but
Yep.
it's just something to think about. That's all.
Yep.
All right, if we got nothing further on the police requests, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and ask Joe about just reviewing what's left or what's been purchased from last year and anything that remains.
Joe, do you have anything you can throw on the screen?
I do. I'll walk through the list. You see my screen? It's
Yeah,
it's the rundown of our warrant article with a couple of yellow things on it.
Make it a little bigger. I'm a little blind. Sorry.
That's all right. That might be too big. Can you see that?
that works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, thank
covers
you.
everything.
So from what was voted on and approved by the committee last year, everything on this list, with the exception of what's highlighted in yellow, and I have a red note to the side here, is done. Delivered or constructed, finished, you name it. I'll just go through, there's about 5 of them, I think. So like the chief said, ordering vehicles has been tricky. This first line, this dump truck that was approved for my group, we were actually lucky. Somebody backed out of an allotment spot that we were able to sneak our way into. So this truck is built. It's actually sitting at the upfitter right now. I think we're 2 behind in the line. So I'm expecting delivery on this sometime probably middle of April. Same sort of scenario with the Cushman UTV. This is basically, for lack of a better term, this is, our donkey down the cemetery. We load up with everything that we need for funerals and whatnot, and gets us around. Same deal with this. This one's not going up there. We're just waiting for the manufacturer to deliver it to us. It's my understanding that, they'll manufacture when they have a set amount of orders coming in. Unfortunately, nobody had anything even remotely close to what we had spec'd out anywhere on the East Coast that we could have grabbed. So that basically summarized everything in fleet. As far as buildings go, so the round of windows that we did at Town Hall, we have 3 left to do. The reason why we have that is because we're scheduling all the work kind of around everybody's office hours and things like that. So we've done most of this work either after hours, from Friday afternoons when the majority of people in Town Hall are gone, so we're less disruptive. So we have a couple more of those that we're punching out currently, and then that'll be finished. The big one from last year was the chiller for the Woodville. That's been ordered. That's supposed to be shipped to Wakefield sometime in April. And when it arrives, it'll be craned up to the roof, installed and started. So cross our fingers, that'll hopefully get done right before it's time to require it to be used. The Greenwood School, Tim, who we'll talk to at some point in time, I'm sure, and my group are working on the electrical service upgrade there. And then the only other thing, so Sam, basically this is set up in 3 different ways. Everything that's funded from tax, and then there's a sewer enterprise and a water enterprise. Everything related to water, obviously it's been no secret that Wakefield was Construction Town USA last year. We did a lot. Water mains are done. All of our work inside the plant is finished. Everything related to sewer enterprises, and much like the dump truck, we're only waiting the delivery of the vac truck that we ordered for sewer. This is kind of similar to the way that a fire truck gets built. I'm sure that the chief will say. Outside of the cabin chassis, basically everything on this is built from scratch. So that's what the lead time from that. We ordered it last May. Once the date passed where the town meeting vote couldn't have been contested. At that time, they told us it would take about a year for it to come. So we're not expected to see that till sometime, probably around Memorial Day. But maybe we'll catch a break and see it a little bit sooner. But as far as everything else goes, you can consider all of it finished.
Can you go back up a little bit?
Yeah.
Where was I looking? No, go down to the, I think it was the building.
Yeah.
No. I went down a little bit more. That lift is in, there is the mobile lift, that's all.
Yeah, they're running down. So Frank's asking about, we approved some lifts for our fleet division. Those were readily available, so those were put in, the middle of July, first week of August. So those have been
Wow,
since then.
awesome.
Yeah.
Then, the big ones were the mobile ones, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so-
like I said, those were readily available, so they're there. Yeah. They love them, so thank you.
Sure.
So I don't know, I mean, if there's any more, debate we want to have to this, and move on to the next thing, but if you have any
Just-
questions.
Real quick on the playground, is the Dolbear complete?
No, sorry, I misspoke on that one. So that's ordered. That will probably end up being, if we can get it in April vacation, we'll do it in April vacation. We have to coordinate that dance, with Tim in the school. But you're probably gonna see that done in, probably the end of June. But that's PO'd, ordered, ready to go. As soon as the weather breaks and if we have decent weather, we can get it done for April vacation, we'll certainly do that. It depends. Remember the rubber surfacing on that? We need the temperature to stay above 40 throughout the night for that to cure and not basically fall apart. So that's where that one stands.
All right, any questions, Sam? You have any questions on that? You're basically looking at a finished,
No, that
Excel
looks
sheet
pretty,
on how it is. What's that?
no, pretty straightforward.
So the Dolbear work is not done.
No, all the parts are ordered. Everything is in motion. We just needed to get here so we can install it.
Okay, so you're gonna annotate that with the, your red text?
Also, just a quick thing on that playground resurfacing, the rubber surface. It looks like last year's final budget, had it at 220. And now it's 240. Did we vote an additional 20,000 for that, or is it just what it came out to be?
I showed 240 was final.
Oh, okay, then I'm looking
Right.
at something that's a little out of date.
Yeah, I think the actual cost came in later in the process and it got upped a little bit is what I remember. But
Okay,
we
okay.
approved 240.
240, okay.
Dan, if you remember, we received a grant for an ADA accessible swing. That was added to that scope, which increased a little bit of that rubber surface that we talked about,
Uh-huh,
prompting that change.
okay.
What's the status of the monument restoration?
Thank
I
you.
know the company came in and removed and started the process. What's the timeline for them to complete that restoration project?
The timeline is, bearing, any unforeseen surprises that they find, by Veterans Day, this fall. So
Oh, wow. Nice.
they craned out all of the, figures that needed to be rehabbed. Most of those were either missing a hand, a piece, different things like that. The craziest part of that whole thing to me is that each statue weighed about 1,100 pounds and wasn't held on with there were no pins, there were no adhesives, at least that they could see the evidence of. It was just dead weight.
Gravity.
Yeah, which is wild because those things, stood for 120 years, right?
Yeah.
Those went to Watertown, the Daedalus' studio, and they're starting to remanufacture some of the pieces that are broken into granite. Once they get to a point where they have something for us to show, they actually invited us down there to take a look at it and kind of see the process as it goes on. What we're hoping to do is we could take WCAT with us to kind of capture that because it's, something that clearly hasn't, took over a century to put any attention into that. So that's something we're looking forward to do. We're hoping that'll be happening sometime within the next month or so. So they have the wrought iron fences too. So they removed all those. They took those to the studio. And any of the pieces that were missing or bent or anything like that, they're actually rebuilding inside. And then when they're ready to come back and start some of the outside, rehab and touch-up work that they're gonna be doing on site, they'll install that and put the figures back, and the thing will look basically like it did the day that they dedicated it.
Awesome. Can we look at the miscellaneous section? Sorry.
So, and Sam, this ends up having, so most of the stuff that comes in this, is either fleet related,
Mhm.
attached to a building. FPC is for, forestry park cemetery. So things like the common, things like, open areas, recreation, things like that. And then miscellaneous becomes the catch-all of all the other things that, you know, get as a capital request that aren't really a car, aren't really a building, and might not be at the common, but it's still something that falls into this. So that basically becomes like a potpourri.
Yep. I might be misremembering from the May town meeting because I was there, but was there something about doing work at Veterans Park?
There was, that's separate from this.
Okay.
That was done through the town's ARPA money, the allotment that they got from the government.
Right.
The town council approved the project of a bathroom and some storage down there. So that is currently going through the permitting process with conservation and things like that. And we'll probably see that starting to get built sometime in midsummer once we get through all the regulatory hoops. But that's going as we speak. So that'll be 2 bathrooms. There'll be a utility room for my group. There'll be a storage room for my group, and then they also incorporated into the facility some storage for the farmers market that we're seeking a little bit of help there. So
Right. Okay.
yeah, that'll come with a brand new. The parking lot will be new. All the drainage will be new. It'll be pretty transformative when it gets finished.
Awesome.
Any more questions on last year's list?
Can you make the spreadsheet available to us?
I can send it to you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have this one, and then I also have to send out to you this year's requests. It's been fluid. I know you'll probably hear it from me for sure. You'll definitely hear it from the school department, and probably from the fire department and the library, that trying to get people to commit to numbers had been a little bit more mature than they had been in the past, just because some of the uncertainties that are out there. But so we're a little later than we would have liked to be, but we're right where we need to be to get going.
All right, so Joe will get those out, if not tonight, I'm sure by tomorrow.
Thank you.
Great.
If it's okay, we can establish some meeting dates. Sam, we usually do this, you know, so that we can all schedule it, and obviously we would like it so that all the members can be there for as many meetings as they can. Sometimes, you know, people have work things and you might miss one here or there, but hopefully we can get everyone on the same page for a majority of the meetings.
Mhm.
We usually start the week after February break. Is it, yeah, all right, so that week is the 26th. And what do we have for meeting dates, Joe? Do we know the dates of the
Yep.
presentations?
So these, the recommended plan voted on by the committee goes to the town council on May 25th. And then it's,
That's late.
yeah, this is the last one. And then it goes to the finance committee on May 28th. Not May. Oh my God, excuse me. March.
Oh,
March,
yeah,
March. Not
I
May.
said that was late.
I'm thinking town meeting. No, so March 25th and 28th.
28th. And when's the town meeting?
I know they said it. Yeah, I'd have to.
That's all right. All right, so we have till the week before the 25th, obviously. That gives us 1, 2, 3. That basically gives us 4 weeks. We usually do Tuesdays and Thursdays around 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've got to be Zoom. Every time I bitch and complain, it's for whatever reason they have to be via Zoom. So unless we have a meeting because we're going to check something out, you know, an on-site meeting to check out some buildings, which we obviously could arrange, it'll all be via Zoom. So I'll throw out some dates, and I'm looking at I'm just looking at my phone, looking at my calendar. We could start on, Thursday, Thursday, February 29th. Is everybody, that's like a bonus day.
Mhm.
Is everybody available at 7 o'clock on the 29th?
I think so, yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
All right.
that's not a
And
day.
that was everybody, yeah. So we really only have Tracy, so hopefully we'll establish when
I think Tracy's on.
Tracy's
she's
here
here.
now. Yeah.
Hi, Tracy, I didn't hear you.
Yes, sir, away.
Okay. All right, so first meeting, February 29th, 7 p.m. All meetings will be 7 p.m. unless somebody needs to change it for any reason or move it. All right, how about the following Tuesday and Thursday, the 5th and the 7th? March 5th and March 7th? Yay or nay?
So far, so
Yes.
good.
All right,
Yeah,
all right. Then the following week, the 12th and the 14th, March 12th and March 14th.
yep.
And Sam,
Oh,
Sam, just throwing out
I can't do 14th. I have a permanent building committee that night,
okay, so
but that doesn't mean anything if you guys have
make it the
quorum.
Can you make it the Wednesday?
Wednesday the
Wednesday.
13th.
I can't do Wednesdays, but actually, hold on, the 13th. I can't do Wednesdays. I have a standing work meeting either. Sorry.
Okay,
That's fine. If Phil's the only one not there, or we can,
Yeah,
if
right.
we get 6 or 7 meeting dates, it usually goes pretty smooth. So let's just do Tuesday, March 12th, and everyone else is good for all these dates so far, correct?
Okay,
Yep,
so,
We'll send this out I'll send all these dates out in the chat in a second, okay?
okay,
yep,
And
Okay.
and finally, we'll throw out there the last week, the 19th and the 21st of March. Again, we're not necessarily gonna meet on all these days, but just let's make sure we're all available in case we need to.
Yeah,
okay. I may have a conflict in that whole week, but.
The 19th, that's probably gonna be our voting weekend anyways.
Okay, good, good.
But we could probably, we've done it in the morning before, we could rearrange
Yeah.
it. We're gonna do a final vote that week.
Fine, I might be able to move my plans anyway, so, okay, good.
All right,
No,
so to review, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 dates, and obviously we could always add one. February 29th, March 5th, March 7th, March 12th, March 19th, and March 21st for the final vote.
I think you missed March 12th, March 14th.
no, he
Oh,
had
I
March,
put
Leave it
it
out.
off, 'cause I
So
figured you couldn't be there. You want me to keep it on anyways?
Yeah, if you can get a majority, it doesn't matter,
Okay.
as long as there's a majority, right?
All right, and yeah, and we don't, we could always postpone one of them. So, all right,
Yeah.
so.
And then the
starting,
19th and the 21st, right?
Yeah,
So there's no,
19th, 21st.
yeah, the
Yep.
town shuts off chat features, probably for good reasons, for public meetings. I'll send a reply all email in a second with all these dates on it, okay?
Thanks, Bill.
okay, one question is since we're putting the 14th back, will our final meeting be on the 19th, the way we vote?
It could be. I mean, we're just
Okay.
gonna leave all these dates out there, Frank, and then, on the 12th, we could be all done and we could say, let's vote on the 14th. I'm just hypothetically.
Yep.
Okay, a question on the process, so I forget this from last year, so we vote, we decide to approve a budget, under the budget constraint from the town manager, and it goes to finance and then town council?
Reverse
No,
order.
town council on the
Town council,
25th, then finance,
When does it go to the town council?
March
Order.
25th. I'll put
Right.
that in the email too. And
Okay,
then March 28th is the finance committee.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll put it, yeah,
And-
I'll
and
put that
Frank,
all in there.
As long as I've been doing it, they've agreed with whatever we decided on, what our recommendations are, so.
As we
Oh.
get closer to, we'll invite, I think the liaison is probably still Joe Bertrand, so we'll clue him in as we start making changes. I'll make sure he gets a copy of kind of the working list that we're looking at, so they're up to speed and we don't have to start over at zero to explain, how the group got to where they got to. If I can add, so a logistics or I guess a housekeeping point. So we talked to the police chief right off the bat. I think as Frank said earlier, he's a simple request that we've heard a bunch of times. So it made sense to get him in, hear him out, and then move on. We have requests from the fire department, public works, the school department, and the library has a couple of things this year. I was thinking of possibly trying to see if we could get the library and the fire chief, probably Captain Randy Hudson, who does traffic, fire alarm for him, and maybe the deputy chief will come with him, I don't know. Those guys in the library to join us on the 29th. And then on the 5th, will be probably a little bit bigger of a meeting, although the list from the school department is shorter than we've seen in the past. But with the overlap in what my group and they're doing, it might make sense for DPW and the schools to come in on the 5th. If I could, I'll try to confirm that with them and I'll update the group. But if anybody wants to see a different pairing or has any other suggestions, I'm all ears.
When you want school, my understanding from the school meeting a week or two is they have a lot of requests, and they usually do. Are they the ones that we're waiting on a lot of pricing for? Is there a reason we wouldn't bring them in first, or is it because they don't have their stuff yet?
No, I mean, we could do that. You know what I'll do? I'll propose it to Tim O'Brien, the facilities director there. I'll have him get in touch with Doug, Christine, the business manager, and I'll give them the option. I'll say, we'd like to see you the 29th. If you can't, can you come the 5th? And I'll ask them to confirm one. I can do my group whenever. And then once I get an idea where the schools are, I'll figure out if the fire chief and Catherine McDonald, the director of the library, can fill in the other date.
So this is mine suggestion, and we haven't looked at the full list yet. Like, we haven't seen it. And to bring in the school committee and talk about their asks without us having sort of an initial once over on the whole list internally, I will find difficult, but maybe it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I always like that we sort of got a first look at the whole list and went through it and sort of understood where things were, coming in at. And then we would bring in the players that had all, most of the requests.
I agree with
Right,
that.
especially, I agree, yeah, me too, especially to compare it to years past.
Yeah, so maybe not the 29th, maybe the 29th is our first meeting to go over the whole list, right, as a group, and then invite maybe school committee for like the 5th.
I'll shoot for the 5th or the 7th.
But so they have a school committee. I'm trying to look at their online to see what nights they have school committee meetings. Because would that be in the way of them attending probably, or someone? Is it them? It's Tim, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be him. Doug Lyons has been in the past.
Yeah, but
the business manager, maybe the assistant superintendent. I don't know. It could just be Tim too.
it might just be Tim now. Yeah, it seems like he's kind of grabbed the horns for them, which is great. They need that. I'm just looking to see when their next meeting. I would just ask Sir Chairperson, if that makes sense, our next meeting could be just an initial review of the list, just
yeah,
with
February
just with
29th,
us.
we have a couple things to go over then as well, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start, we'll just have all our guests in March, either the 5th, 7th, or afterwards, so.
They meet the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, the school committee.
Oh, so
So-
March 7th should be open.
March 7th would be open, or March 5th.
Yeah.
Because the second Tuesday is not till the 12th. So someone should be available the 5th or the 7th. I would say the 5th, if that would sound okay, to get them in first.
I'll ask for the 5th, and if they can't make it work, I'll say that, how about the 7th?
And then
We'll try to
I
get
don't know
them
what
in there.
library, yeah. I wonder
So
what
Joe,
library has.
can you get a whole list together by the 29th?
I'm looking at it right now. So
Oh.
you'll all, as soon as we break, you'll all get everything. You'll get
Wow, okay,
master rundown of everything. I have the letter that was submitted similar to the one that was sent out earlier from Chief Story, from the fire department, and the school department stuff. Everything I have, I'll get to the group tonight so you can digest it. And if you have any questions leading up to the 29th, certainly feel free to send them my way. I could try to get you something for a discussion point.
wow, good.
You'll have everything probably by 8:30, I would say.
Yeah. I guess my big thing will be how much we're being given to spend.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're maintaining an increase.
It is 2 million until I'm told otherwise. Right.
Yeah, we had 2.2. I was hoping for 2.3 last year, this year, 5% a year. We talk about this every year. We don't
Yeah, I
we're
think
not
they're
given
gonna-
enough money to keep up with inflation, to keep up with the
Right.
cost of things. So,
Mm.
I'd really love to have a formal discussion at some point about that number. Once we have to start talking about
Should-
getting rid of stuff, I think it's important we narrow that down.
Should we maybe ask, or demand, a preliminary meeting with the finance committee just to see if we can get that number increased, pinned down, get some ballpark idea before we even start this?
I mean, Dan, if I just, over the last couple of years, except for the COVID year, we always go in high at 2.2, 2.3, and
Yeah, but that's,
go into the last 2 or 3 meetings, a little above where we need to be, and then ask for forgiveness or ask for a little bit more permission. And for the last couple of years anyway, since COVID, we have gotten that leeway. I believe it was the same as last year, and look where we ended up last year.
Hey, we're the capital planning committee. We don't have to ask for forgiveness. Are you kidding me?
right,
Our whole mission is to fund proper capital repairs
Right.
at all. We should be proud of our recommendations, huh?
we
You
don't
know.
need no stigma.
I know what you're saying. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I know what you're saying.
If we're looking, if we, in the schedule of the full list of requests that are coming in this year, is there a longer capital plan too that we can also be looking at, right? Like what fits into the 5 or 10 year
Yes.
plan?
Good question.
So that gets generated and updated annually after we finish. Sam, I'll send you last year's. So you
Okay.
can kind of take a peek at that. And then as we go on through this, then it'll get updated. It gets updated again annually. So I'll give you what was produced last year at the end of this process. And then we could go over it if you have any questions or anything like that. Even aside from this, just to make sure you're comfortable with where you're at.
Yeah, just to get a sense of whatever. And just because if we're looking at down the road, that number is going to look closer to 3 because of stuff that we know might be coming, like 2 engines or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Then there's an argument to be made about slowly building this number up to meet that greater demand down the road, so that there isn't like a $1 million spike, in the level of request in a few years, whatever. So just getting a sense of the time horizon that maybe makes that case better to the
Sure.
finance committee and to the town, instead of just like, but a roof is cool. Like, I just want to make sure that we can build a case on a couple of points.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, Joe will get those out to us. And is there anything else? Any other questions or requests? I have one more item to go over before we conclude the meeting. But I want to make sure everything else is all set. Everyone okay?
Yes, I am.
All right, so it's with, I have to announce that I need to resign from the board because I am taking a job with the town of Wakefield and it will be a conflict of interest.
Oh,
So
Oh,
next meeting will be my last as the chairperson, as we elect a new chairperson. So obviously, it could be any member of the board. If you want to send a request to me, it's got to be on the agenda. We have to vote on it next meeting. We have to put it on the agenda. So if you want to put a request to me, and you can copy Sherry, if you're interested in being the chairperson. Besides trying to run the meetings, all you really have to do is present to the town council, FinCom, in the town meeting, as you've all seen me do. and maybe 1 or 2 meetings throughout the year, like a little off the cuff, video chat with some other departments. So if anyone's interested, please, send me an email, and then, next week, next meeting on the 29th, February 29th, we will, we can just, it's kind of just a technicality, just a vote in the new chair. But that's it. I'm gonna miss you guys, and Joe's probably gonna have me here anyways, just listening in, so it's okay.
That's a blow.
Good luck, man. I know, you've been,
Yeah.
a mainstay here.
Congrats.
I think it was 2007 or 2009. I forget which I started. I think it was 2007.
So let me ask, when someone like this happens mid-stream, and we just had, is there still like an open period we can ask for names from the community, or do we have to wait like a whole year? You know that, what the process of that is at all, or just wondering?
It just closed. Obviously, my term was up anyways this spring.
Yeah,
In the new request, it closed on February 2nd. If you wanted to be, Frank, I think, Frank, did you reapply?
Yes, I did.
It was-
And I was told I would hear back in April.
April, right,
Yeah,
but
well-
they asked for so I'm wondering if we can, because now we have Dave who's resigning,
Two of us,
like we
yeah.
can't expect him at any of these meetings, and then you have 1 meeting left. If there would be any consideration from the town council to allow a late, like, sort of open window for this committee to try to get a couple names for April, but it would be up to them. It's, yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's a good idea. We went so many years with, 5 people. When did we hit 7? Was that 2 years ago when we?
It was like in the last few years, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
We
that.
didn't hit 7
Yeah.
though, like 2 years ago. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. Or obviously you're losing 2 separate, 2 other inputs of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's basically it. As far as the voting goes, you're losing, you still have an odd number. That shouldn't be the issue, but yeah, you're basically losing 2 forms of input. And I don't mind joining the meetings and giving my input. I just wouldn't be able to vote. I would just be a community person.
Didn't Jeff start that way as a non-voting member?
Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, that was when he was number 6, because we had to ask for the council to be increased, for the committee to be increased. I think it was at 5, so he was,
Yeah, the bylaws allowed us to have up to 7, we found, and so right. So,
Yeah, so I'll confirm that. I'll try to confirm that tomorrow with Steve, exactly what that is. I mean, and I'll ask that maybe, at least so you just have another voice in the room, if that's what you're trying to get to. Maybe they can't vote, but maybe they can at least kind of offer up their 2 cents, working throughout the process.
I thought
Yeah, like-
technically
like-
our
yeah.
meetings were where anyone could go anyway, right?
Right.
Any community, yeah.
True.
yes.
Yeah.
An-
the only
an
difference
intern.
is the
Let's get an
vote.
intern.
Yeah.
Blame all the cuts on the intern.
All right, so that's it. So that'll be next meeting as well on the 29th. Like I said, send to me, copy Sherry if you're interested. And if nobody's interested, then Joe will appoint somebody.
Can we not? Yeah, we should nominate, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of informal. I talked to Steve about it. It is kind of informal. You don't need to make nomination. I mean, yeah, you could send me an email and say, I want Dan to do it. I think he would be great. From somebody else. That I think it's just informal. It's nothing that really has to be approved by like the majority, or just as long as nobody has any issues with who it's going to be.
Okay. All right.
That's it. I will call without anything else. I have a motion to adjourn at 7:56.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a good night. See you on the 29th.
All right,
see ya.
then.
Have a
Thank
good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.